Did you get all the figures together?
Got all the figures in my head.
So I know nothing.
It's normal. Hey guys, what's going on? Flawless Crested Geckos here. Will, Audra.
Hi.
Coming to you guys with another video. And this is going to be take 2. We keep saying we're going to get that thing.
Yeah.
But we want to put out that we will be at the Southeast Reptile Expo this weekend. So hopefully we'll see you guys there. Bob is pretty much taking on this show and pushing it, and he's done a great job. He's got a ton of heavy hitters, definitely on the snake side of things. Not only will he be vending the show, but Canova, who leads the industry, he'll be actually stepping out and vending the show as well. Alongside will be Rice Reptiles, who we are very, very fond of.
And just so you kind of have an idea, because obviously this is Crested Geckos, and those guys are all ball python people, just so you understand why we're leading up with that, is that Rice Family Reptiles
owns Reptico. And Reptico is more of their non-ball python reptile adventures. So they're Crested Geckos. They're actually Patreon members of ours as well. They're a part of the Flawless family.
And they have hog noses.
They have hog noses. They have gargoyles. They have a few different things.
Their daughter, Channing, Billy and Dom's daughter, Channing, is the main, I guess you would say, owner.
Right, it's kind of
operator.
Right, the foundation of that part of the business. Yes. So they have a lot more, I guess, direct say so in what's going on, projects they want to work, and everything not being strictly business, because they have several businesses.
Yes, they do.
And soon we're going to actually get them on interview, and we'll talk about some of the different paths and how they've ended up where they are. So, warning, this is going to be a little bit more of a lengthy video. And this is more so wrapped around another one of those kind of Q&A kind of sessions that we tend to do. We
get a lot of questions.
Yes. And a lot we give direct answers, and we never really revisit it.
No. And sometimes we get questions over and over again. Mm-hmm. And it is beneficial that to make this one out to be sort of a full video for you guys. So it's a little bit more accessible to people who don't actually message us inside the inboxes.
Right. And sometimes people don't always want to know the necessary right and wrong way of doing things. They just kind of want to know, hey, what are you guys doing? Mm-hmm. Or how did you make this work for you? So a lot of our actual suggestions or recommendations come from our own personal experience in dealing with it in the now. So the main question on the table was from actually a customer who was wondering, why did we build our facility, number one, and what were it was a very lengthy question, but I'm gonna summarize it. What were the pros and cons to actually building a facility versus leasing a smaller commercial space, and moving forward in that manner? So we've been asked this, like we said, several times.
Multiple times, yes.
And there are pros and cons to both sides. I'll admit, literally, one of the huge pros to going toward, let's say, for instance, commercial leasing side of things would be instant access, pretty much lock and key. Landlord gives you a key and you open up and you pretty much get in there and go at it. But at the same time, another pro and con for building a facility yourself is, once it's paid for, materials or whatever, if you have your outer shell, you can kind of do it at your own pace.
One thing that has always stood out to me as a homeowner, as a business owner, as those things, is that I have rented before, and it is really good for people who move around a lot, or maybe they are not planning on staying, or maybe they're just in a sort of a transitional time of life where they're just not sure where they want to put the roots down. Maybe they're waiting on a house to be built for them or whatnot. But renting as a whole, you never get anything back out of it. So you're putting all this money in month after month, and you never actually own the apartment that you live in, or the rental space. In this particular example for a business, you never actually own that space. So if you were to decide to move spaces, or want to sell that, you can't exactly sell something that is not yours.
Now, to kind of be a little bit devil's advocate and Audra hates this, but for the sake of the video, different businesses approach that situation differently. What we do with reptiles, I mean, it's kind of off the beaten path. It's not very mainstream. Some people will say, well, if you want to be mainstream, or if you want to get your brand out there, you want to get out there in front of people. I get that too, but that being said, if you're on, let's say, a main strip of your town where you have a high amount of traffic, that's what we would consider prime real estate.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, in those situations,
that's called location.
Right. Now, in those situations, it depends. You have to weigh your pros and cons for yourself, for your own business. Are you going to be a business that's open 5-6 days a week? Are you going to have business hours? Are you going to be open to the public? All these things come into factor. Then again, getting a little bit away from just reptiles, what's your type of business? Are you depending on high foot traffic to support your business? So in those situations,
it's more beneficial,
to actually go commercially, something established in a shopping area, because sometimes other businesses can generate business for your business.
Yeah, absolutely. They can bring in people just like walking by. And if you want to, make it specifically reptile oriented, I think we can all agree that this community is large and it's growing. But a lot of times when you tell people that aren't really interested in reptiles, oh, well, I have a snake, or I have a lizard, I have a crested gecko, or whatever you may have, they automatically shy away from it because of a long-standing fear of the general public of reptiles in general.
Absolutely.
So to have people walking by that aren't in our community already, or aren't interested, and have that foot traffic from other businesses and such, that would be kind of beneficial to the community as a whole, to possibly grow that community even more.
Plus, as a small business versus a larger business, you have to consider the power of a dollar. And that's why we always tell you guys, hey, support small businesses. Your dollar means something different to a big corporate brand chain versus a family-owned, small business. Because a lot of the times, even a larger business can withstand more of a downward slope, a low in the industry longer than a small business can.
Small businesses,
because there's no corporate and everything else over top of that small business. Therefore, some of those smaller sales, something like as simple as nice, great customer service coming from, and yes, gonna get great customer service from both sides, big business and small business, but you're gonna have more of a personal connection,
and just to segue off that, the reason you get that more personal connection is because it is personal to the business owner. We've always said this, that you will work 10 times harder for yourself than you will for somebody else.
Which spin off of that, that's why we answer the messages, how we answer, we reply. We try so hard to reply to every single comment to our videos, asking about pretty much anything. A lot of our inquiries that come in via email, we respond to absolutely everything. And it's just Audra and myself when it comes to responding to all of these plethora of messages. So when it gets back to actual building the facility versus actually leasing an established building space.
Hey guys, Flawless Crested Geckos here, Will and Audra.
And we're here to tell you guys about our new Patreon tier. Have you guys ever played the lottery, lose, and get all your money back?
that's not really a thing, is it? Oh, but yes, it is. With our new tier, the $100 a month, you get every single bit of your money back for the entire year. But guess what? It doesn't end at the end of the year. Right. No, you have rollover. So you can continue to build your savings account as much as you would like.
Right.
But guess what? That's not all.
That's right. You
What
also
is the biggest perk?
are automatically entered for our annual free Exantic giveaway. Visual Exantic.
A free visual Exantic. Oh my gosh. Who does that? We do.
That's right. So you guys are going to want to go over to patreon.com/flawless Crested Geckos and check us out.
Join the Flawless family.
Space. You want to take into consideration your current market. I did a little research, as Audra was picking with me earlier, about where the figure's at. Well, for one, the shell of our building, we had our actual building built off site and actually delivered here.
The shell, so it was like basically in the dry,
right?
With obviously the
roofing out, everything finished on the outside. Yeah. What was the total? Because you know the actual total amount on the actual building itself.
Yes, it was right at delivery, installation, and everything. It was right at 17,800.
Okay.
Yeah, so right up under 18,000.
So right at 18,000. So you'll put that there at 18,000. Now that does not mean that it's done.
And that also, just to clarify, that was close to 700 square feet. So
right, actually, yeah, exactly. So and then you take that, and then let's say we'll add drywall, insulation, all the more expensive stuff. Yeah, Audra's not very happy with that. But I would say roughly, because we did all that work ourselves, drywall, insulation into the ceiling, the walls, even the electrical and all pole wire and all that. Audra actually was down there, actually by hand, digging trenches. It was very awesome. But
that, what is it, hammerjack?
Yeah,
that's what it's called.
Yeah, we should have rented a trencher. It would have been better. But now we know if we, if and when we build the next facility. But
we still have our hammerjack though.
Yeah, because I've actually used it on other things. But we'll say that roughly, let's say another $4,000.
Yes.
Then we're gonna have all the interior things, which you would still have anyway, like racks, all your enclosures and things like that. So those items are pretty much going to be across the board. It's going to be the same cost, so we won't even put that into the scenario. So right off the gate, you're looking at 18 grand plus four on the high side, so $22,000 for the actual facility. One of the other things will be the mini splits. We have 2 mini splits. Really only need one, but I'm very thankful we got 2 because we had to actually have one serviced, and it was an easy fix. So we have 2.
It was William here serviced it.
Yes, and me and YouTube. So keep watching these YouTube videos. You learn a lot.
Yes, you do.
But believe it or not, I guess is with technology, a lot of people are very afraid of mini splits. Now we did get them installed professionally by an HVAC guy, which was really, really cheap, and I was surprised.
Yeah.
It's the same HVAC serviceman that we use on our home.
Everything. Yeah.
So the mini splits, we purchased both of the mini splits complete for $1,500 total. So they were $750 each with free delivery. They arrived, and our HVAC guy literally had the boxes and everything there from start to finish. It took him about 4 or 5 hours of one morning, and I want to say expense for him was maybe $500-600.
Yeah, I think
it wasn't much, which surprised us, and not each. That was total.
Yeah.
So we're out of there at $2,000. So we're already up to $24,000. Now the thing about that, for let's say to facilitate an actual facility, we were done. That's it. Now there are no monthly payments on that. There was no upkeep on it. There's been nothing else other than your normal power bill, extra water use, because we actually have plumbing going out there as well.
Which is what I was about to mention. The only other things that we put into the facility that were, I would say, like necessary for
to run the facility. Yeah.
To run the facility was our utility sink, our hot water heater, which is a tankless hot water heater, which
was cheap.
Yeah. And we had like I'm for some reason I'm thinking that we actually outsourced from out of the country to get that particular tankless hot water heater, because when we got it here, we needed an adapter.
Right.
And couldn't figure it out for the.
And I'm sure it was something simple. If I was a plumber, I'm sure I would have just been able to kind of know exactly what it was.
It works now. Like I think you and I both went to like every hardware store this side of Texas.
I was more afraid of dealing with the 220 line, power line,
yes, he was,
than actually the fittings and everything on the water.
If you notice in a lot of our videos, if you look back in some of the reels and stuff, you'll see that we have a cabinet that we actually built together and painted, and we have a piece of granite that sits on top of that cabinet for our where we mix our food and things like that. So,
right, and that would be, like I said, the same thing if it was a lease or built.
It's minimal in cost.
Right.
So what we're looking at is like right around 25.
Yeah, 20. Okay, it's 25. So you take that, and then we started looking at comparables for space. Now, and I'm going to use the lowest one that I found in our area. And if we were looking to actually lease a location, it would be really, really cool, because it's right over. You guys are not going to know, but it's right over by Dollar Tree on Reedville Road. Mm-hmm. So it would be in that shopping area. So
which is a well-traveled.
Yes.
Fairly busy shopping center.
And you would agree it's 8 minutes away from home?
Yes. So
it's 8 minutes away. This was the absolute lowest that we were able to find. And it was literally $1.35 per square foot. Okay, and that's how they do commercial properties. That was the lowest rate we were able to find. The next highest rate, and that was only one space, so you had to be able to move fast and close the deal and sign that lease or to be gone. The next space up was $3 per square foot. So what does $1.35 a square foot look like? It was 1,000 square feet as advertised. So nice size space. I had a window out front, front and rear entrance. So you're looking at $1,350 per month. Now, you still have to pay your own utilities and any marketing costs. So if you want a sign out front, which is this where they add on. If you put a sign out front, it's going to be $150 a month. Mm-hmm. Which is fine, because you'll be up there with some of the other brands that's in that, shopping center. Mm-hmm. So now that pushes it up from $1.35 a square foot to $1.50 a square foot. So you're at $1,500 a month. Now, if my math is correct, $1,500 a month, that's right at $18,000 a year. Okay, so $18,000 a year. So after year one, you've spent $18,000 that you don't get back. You don't have any, what you would say as far as in real estate equity in that at all. But you do have the use of that facility. Now, moving forward, year two, just 2 years. Year two, you're into another 18 grand. So you're spending that every single year. So you're already at 36 grand. We've had our facility now up and running. I want to say we had the facility probably 6 months before it got finished.
Well, yeah, I know it. We had our facility it came in May.
We've had two breeding seasons
of 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've had 2 breeding seasons.
Yes. So 22, 23, and now we're in 24.
And on the high side, from the very start, it's 25 grand, period. Now, other than other normal repairs, like we always say, knock on wood, ouch. we make sure, you know, because actually we did have a very, very, very large branch fall onto the roof of the facility.
Yeah, he sent me a picture of it. I was like,
pull that off and go up and check for damage. And
we did have a tree like that was positioned between the facility and our house.
That we chose to take that tree down. We went ahead
and took it out, yeah. Because if it had fallen, it would have cut the facility right in half.
So we did take that tree down. So we did all the I guess you would call preventive maintenance that you can possibly think of. But still, we're 25 grand into the actual structuring of the facility, getting it ready and functional. Whereas if we did go the lease route, we would, I mean, by this point, we'll be over 40 grand into the lease and not actually own the location.
And also, if you take into account because there's a lot of other things that obviously you're going to take into account, and we get into that, but you have to think when you're over 40 grand into a leased property for 2 years, that versus our facility that's paid off now completely, you know, a year and a half in, and your drive time, which is for us, that particular one, the example that we gave you is about 8 minutes from our home.
Right.
You're driving back and forth every day, which means you're also putting wear and tear on your vehicle. You're taking gas and your time.
So that's what we had to, that's where I was going with it too. So that's what we also have to take into consideration too, because you have to consider convenience.
Yes.
And whereas 8 minutes is no time, anyone who has a large amount of geckos or reptiles in general, and you're approaching it from a business aspect, and you're spending time with your animals, and then you're doing all the logistics. So you're doing your cleanings and feedings, and maybe you have an employee or two. Now, it gets a little crazy when you're down there at 2-3 in the morning, you know, or we could be at that commercial, you know, space at 2 and 3 in the morning, getting some of the logistics done. And I guess you could say, how do you say, the nuances kind of appear, because now you're tired, you're done for the day, you shut the lights off and you head into the house and you jump in the car, and, you know, it's only 8 minutes, you get ready to pull in the driveway and you left your phone. Or whatever you have of importance. And now you got to take that 8-minute ride back. Go get it, you know. And it's important because you need that part of the connection.
Yeah, we leave our phone in the facility all the time.
We got to go get it, because that's where our emails are coming in. That's where your Morph Market inquiries are coming in. That's when our Instagram and Facebook messages back and forth, text messages, everything. That's where we communicate with our entire customer base, our entire social media presence. So you can't necessarily leave that to the next business day. So it's kind of a nuisance rather than it being, you know, 30 feet in your backyard.
It's a nuisance when it's 30 feet in the backyard. You've been down there for 10 hours and you come up and it's like,
So if you do a real life comparison, and hopefully videos like this will help you. We're not telling you our way is the best way. We just want to give you literally a layout, an example of what we're having to deal with. And if you take it on and put in your business plan as a 10-year growth plan, things really start to make sense for you, because overall, again, we're not talking about any other expenses, and a lot of the other expenses, you know, are comparable to each other, meaning you're going to have the same water bill essentially, whether you build or you lease a spot. You're going to have the same power bill essentially, you know, all those things, equipment inside for the most part, any racks, anything that you're going to build, you're still going to have those same bills. But
anytime you lease something, you're at the mercy of the landlord.
Absolutely. That's what I was going to go to. So let's say you have a great landlord and he doesn't give you the typical 5% yearly increase, because that's the typical in our area.
Right.
But let's say you stay flat and it's in your business plan for 10 years. So essentially you've had this location, you know, and it's been yours for 10 years and you've spent $180,000. 180 grand. And for the same space, for the same amount of time.
Just a little bit more work.
Yeah.
A little bit more sweat equity.
Yeah, like holding drywall.
And a lot more YouTube videos.
But, you know, building your own and that same time frame, having it for 10 years, you're still 25 grand into it versus 180,000. On top of that, I mean, honestly, we have a freestanding structure with plumbing, with electrical. Our next, you know, home we build or buy is going to be in the middle of nowhere. So we will probably leave this facility, and honestly, it's a residential area, so someone will really have a wonderful man cave or whatever you want to do, she shed or pool room, game room. Yeah. So it adds value.
Bar, you could put a bar in there
to your real estate portfolio, and then we will actually leave it and do it all over. And you know how we do. It's time to go bigger.
But I guarantee you there will be a drywall lift that...
There sure will be.
Not me.
So
there'll be one that we crank up.
So we feel this video could be extremely useful. So everyone who has asked this question that we have given answers to, and there's probably a ton more that's been interested in kind of what's all involved in heading down this small business, you know, journey. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Comment down below if you did. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you guys or you'll see us on Thursday, and we hope to see you this weekend at
the Southeastern Reptile Expo.
That's right. So it's Will, Audra, Flawless, Crested, Geckos.
We are out.
And we out.
Bye.